How can you use oracle cards for self-discovery and healing? That's what today's video is about. My name is Sanaa Green, and I'm so happy to be with you today. And I wanted to share some information about how I've evolved on my use of oracle cards. When I first started using oracle decks, it was in the early 2000s, and I bought this deck called Healing with the Angels by Doreen Virtue. Healing with the Angels by Doreen Virtue. I still have the deck. It's still in good condition. And I really like this deck because it helped me to stay connected to my religious roots. I was raised in the Christian church, and I believe in angels. Now I call them spirit guides. But I believe in angels. I believed in angels, and I really needed support from angels, and I needed to have messages on. Let me turn this phone off. I needed to have messages from my angels. I needed to know if I was moving in the right direction. And one of the areas that was always an area for me that helped me to understand and know what was true, know which direction to go to, and was a sense of comfort, was music. So anytime I would get the music card, I always felt good because then I could remember to listen in different songs. Because sometimes what happens when you get this music card, your angels or your spirit guides will play a certain song or have you walk into the room when a particular song is playing and it somehow resonates with you. Or maybe it's the tone of the song, the notes. So you probably have heard of singing bowls or sound healing. Songs have all the same notes that are used in sound healing. For me, this was really important. The other thing I needed to know is that even though I was feeling lacking, like I really needed healing. I mean, and I'm still on my healing journey. So it's not like I'm like, everything is solved now and it's all better. But I needed to know often sometimes that whatever I was going through was a part of my healing process. And that there was something that was gonna move me into another position. And then there was a listening card. So what happens is when you have oracle cards and you use them, it really is a way for you to understand yourself better. It's really not fortune telling. I mean, maybe there's some who can tell fortunes, those who are psychic or who have that particular gift. But for me, it really was about tapping into parts of my psyche, parts of my being, parts of my awareness that were kind of hidden or subconscious, so that I could figure out how to move, figure out how to shift and how to change. So that was the first deck. That's one deck, which is by Doreen Virtue. I don't know if you can still get this because this deck is like 25 years old, so I don't know if you can still get it. But, if you're someone who is really connected and rooted in Christianity, this deck is a great place to start because you don't have to shift your beliefs in order to be able to use this deck. Now, as I've grown through the years, I've expanded my awareness. And that's what oracle decks can do for you too. They can expand your awareness. And so another deck that I really like is by Alana Fairchild. Alana Fairchild is from Australia. And she's very philosophical in her way of explaining information. I had some other decks too that I use in between, but these are the decks that I'm talking about today. Alana Fairchild has a number of decks that she's done. She has a really thick booklet, and there's a lot of detailed information in the book. So you can meditate just on what she's written in the book. And she also has practices that you can use, different types of meditations and things that you can do if you pull a particular card. I like this deck because it ties into the work that I have done, which I worked in environmental education and environmental justice. So it ties into my awareness that I'm intricately connected to the earth. I still feel that way. Although I'm not doing that same work anymore, I'm still intricately connected to the earth. Her cards are more, what's the word? Like abstract. Yeah, the artist who did these, they're more abstract, and I love all the colors. So sometimes I get decks because of the colors, because of how much I like the colors. That's another one. So this is also dealing with purpose. If you feel like you're here as a light worker or a light bringer or a earth warrior, which is what she calls this, someone who is here to help protect the earth, then this deck can be really good for you. Another deck that I use that I really like, which is from really a great mentor, which is Abiola Abrams. And so this deck actually kind of moved me into another position, because what I realized with some of the oracle decks is that sometimes it was a little difficult for me to feel completely connected to the card or the message, because I wanted to see myself represented, myself as a Black woman. So this deck, African Goddess Rising, is also a really good deck. And on the front is Oshun, who is an African deity. And I love how I can see color, not only in the card, but with the women that are represented. And so I feel like this deck is actually more suited to me, a woman who has hips, because anyway, my sister really got hips right now. You know, a little bit too much, but that's all right. It's more to hold on to. So anyway, so I love her deck, and in the way that this deck is actually connected to a thicker book that she put together, which is very similar in the scope of it. Is similar to Sacred Woman, but it's called African Goddess Initiation. African Goddess Initiation, and that goes with the African Goddess deck. Now, the next deck that I use, which is my favorite right now, and that is the African Starseed Oracle deck. The African Starseed Oracle deck. So this deck is really great for understanding the subconscious emotional connections. This is a deck focused on the divine feminine. And on the divine feminine from the perspective of peoples of Africa in the diaspora, and how they may have evolved spiritually. This deck allows you to tap into those ancient memories that you may have, or a dream you may have had. You may have seen yourself as a priestess, or as a warrior, a priestess warrior. When if you all saw the movie, what is that movie with? It took place in Africa, and it was the Dahomey, and there was a group of Dahomey African women who were warriors. And I can't think of the name right this minute, but it's a big star who's in it. And I'll see if I can find it and put it in the show notes. So if you may have ever thought of yourself in that way, this deck actually helps to kind of tap into some of the subconscious beliefs. This card, Infinite Presence, it helps you to understand yourself as being part of an infinite and eternal presence, or another name for God. This also deals with like ways that you can use your spiritual gifts in this dimension, in this life. So it really deals with tapping into spiritual gifts from other dimensions or other lives, or past lives, and using them in this way. Now you don't have to do it. You don't have to tap into past lives. However, it is important, I think, to understand that even though you may be feeling like right now you are less than what you imagine you could be, then it helps to imagine yourself in another dimension, in another realm, as a priestess. Because you may have been a priestess in another life, or you may be a divine feminine leader now and need to kind of boost that energy so that you can move forward. So that's the African Starseed Oracle deck, the Sirius Influence African Starseed Oracle deck. This deck is available on Etsy or on my website, which is sanaagreen.com. sanaagreen.com. Another deck, the last deck I'm going to talk about today, is the African Gods Oracle deck. I love the artwork on this one. I love all of the details of the artwork, and I love the way this is the back of the cards, and I love the way there's a shininess on the edge of the deck, which is so beautiful. And then it's like all of this original artwork, which I really, really love. So part of it for me is the experience of connecting to the colors and the images on the deck. That's a big part of what I've come to enjoy and appreciate about Oracle decks, because I'm a really kind of artsy person. I love the arts and sensuality. So that's one of the cards. And this deck, actually, well, the thing I like about this deck is it has you to look at the shadow part as well as the light part, and it deals with, it has you're doing the reading based on the cycle of the moon that you're in. So if you are someone who's connected to the moon cycles, or you are a woman who menstruates, your menstruation is connected to the cycles of the moon. And this deck, it can be very helpful, because what's true on the full moon may not be true in the same way on the new moon for you. So this actually ties in the new moon, the full moon, and then spirituality. And it also helps me to feel more connected to parts of my African heritage. I have African heritage based on my DNA from Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, North Africa, South Africa. So a little bit from everywhere, a little bit from everywhere. And of course, Madagascar, that's where my maternal DNA is from. All right, so now to use the decks, you can pull one. You can wake up in the morning, shuffle the deck with a question on your mind. Just shuffle the deck, particular question, and then just pull a card. Or maybe you want to take the deck and spread it out. You see that? Yeah, just spread it out. Use your non-dominant hand, the hand that you don't write with, and you can just take your hand and just kind of close your eyes and let your hand run over the deck. And then when you feel an energetic pull, then you pull a card and meditate on this card. Keep the image and the ideas on the particular card, regardless of whatever deck you use, and think about it during the day. All right, so that's how you can use an oracle deck for growth and healing. Your healing comes from contemplating certain concepts that if you resolve them, can bring a different experience in your world. That's where healing comes in, and we're all in the process of growing and healing. All right, my name is Sanaa Green, and thank you for joining. Please like or subscribe to the channel, Past Life of Black Folks, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Peace.